Okay, so welcome everyone. If you're completely new to 3D printing, this video might be helpful, but if you're not completely new, then uh, you will already understand most of this stuff. But so basically, 3D printing, you can start with a file and slice it into a G-code file, which tells your computer how to move, and it will uh, follow your command uh, to make it. And so there's a couple different ways, or more than just a couple different ways, to get a model, a working model. There's one way that I do relatively often, which is making your own file, and this is just a headphone stand that I made, whipped up in this computer-aided design software, CAD software, and like you just slap some adhesive on here on the back, put it under your desk, and put your headphones there if you have headphones. But yeah, I got a few other designs as well in here. Like I'm printing a dog bowl that fits around a water bottle that you can put a water bottle in, so it doesn't take up space. If you're out with the dog for a walk, taking the dog for a walk, you can use this bowl to give your dog some water while you're walking. The other way that I use is by getting designs off of websites such as Thingiverse or GrabCAD or 3D Orchard, where users upload these 3D models as step files or STL files, and I guess doesn't really matter if you don't know about it, but like this is a very common boat that's used to test 3D printers. It tests all the different things. Like it's got a lot of different features, like this arch right here. That'll test to make sure that your printer can actually print arches and just holes and really thin or not that steep slopes. There's a bridging, slanted holes, another hole, circle. It tests a lot of really good stuff. And there's also other things like this is a like physical representation of different 3D printing terms. Like for this one right here, I can't really zoom in, but this one shows different types of supports for different things. Like it shows on the right side what this model ends up looking like without supports, and then on the left side what it ends up looking with supports. This black tower thing shows the overhang angles that you can print. This shows you what it'll look like when you have different amounts of infill, and that's what it would typically be on the inside of the print, but just for showing purposes, it doesn't have, or it's not on the outside, it's on the inside. This shows what shell thickness does to your print, stuff like that. These are some pretty common terms that are used in 3D printing. Like bridging is something that you do when you bridge over a gap. Like it shows the different bridging that printers can do. Some printers bridge better than others. Some printers don't bridge as well. This is a representation of layer height and how it does stuff. So yeah, there's lots of cool little stuff like this on the internet that you can download and print. Also, going to the slicer, the one that I've used primarily is called Cura. And so I already opened up a file of the boat. It's called Benchy the boat. And when you slice it, you make sure that you have all your settings that you need all proper and stuff. And I'm not going to get into it right now, but I already have it set up how I typically do it, so all I have to do now after having all the settings put properly is just click on prepare here, and it'll slice it up horizontally into a bunch of different layers. It'll probably be a couple hundred, because it's pretty tall the way it is right now. And you can see how it all got sliced up. Yeah, it's 542 layers. You can see how it all got sliced up using the software, and you can check all the different paths that it'll take to make the individual layers. I'm gonna zoom in real quick and show you guys that. So it'll follow this path that it's taken right there. And that's what the 3D printer will actually do. I'm gonna skip ahead a bit. So it'll follow this path and print it out and extrude it as it goes, and then it'll step up to the next layer, do that, and just keeps on doing that till it's done. So it's just printing a bunch of different 2D layers, really. It's a bunch of two-dimensional layers. There's flat layers, one on top of the other, and for this one it's 542, but depending on your model and the layer height that you've chosen, you get different amounts of layers, and that's something. Like the thinner your layers are, the higher resolution you'll get. And this is just Cura. Cura is a free software, so that's always good. And then this other software right here is called Ultimaker, or not Ultimaker, what is this? Simplify 3D. And I have a model of a Ford GT, one of the newer versions on here right now. And I'll show you what it looks like when you slice it in Simplify. And so with Simplify I already have it set up as well with all the settings, and complex model, or it's a pretty complex model, not just relatively complex, it's genuinely complex. And so because of that it'll take a little bit longer, but it should end up looking pretty nice once it's done. And this, just about the environment, talking about the stuff that you see here. This rectangle is the volume that you can print in. So this bottom square is a representative of the actual print surface, and the height is as high as the extruder goes. And so it finished slicing as you can already see, and with this one, with this software, I find it easier to see the way that it actually goes about printing the layers and stuff. And one of the cool things with this is that you can actually have it show you each individual line that it takes. So when the computer generates the software, or not the software, the code for the machine to follow, it does it in a bunch of different lines. And this one just follows a bunch of different lines at different speeds. Like, these different colors mean different things. Like, this orange means that it's infill, which means that it's just to support what's above it, pretty much. This darker blue bit right here, I believe that's outer layer, or outer perimeter. yeah, the outer perimeter. All these red lines that are just sort of all over the place are quick paths that it travels over between different things. These gray bits are support material, and Simplify 3D is really good for seeing what your printer is gonna do once it's actually printing, and you can scrub through the actual full print in the bottom. And as I'm seeing right here, this print actually is over 1 million different lines that it follows. So it's 1.16 million lines that it'll follow and print out. And I'll probably print this model. I already saved it to my computer earlier, so I'm not going to do that now. But so for this print in particular, it would take 16 hours according to Simplify, but that would probably be a little bit higher in actuality. And it would take, how many meters is that? 48 meters of filament. I believe that my roll is a couple hundred meters. I'm not sure. Let's see. I have a roll of filament right here that I'm looking at. I'm reading off of it. Okay, it doesn't have a length out there. Oh, it does. It's about 300 left on it, so I could print this from the blue filament that I have. But I'll probably print it out of some red filament. I think that would look nice for the Ford GT. Alright, so that's the end of this part of the video. I'm just gonna cut off the recording.